What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing part 2 of the Drush FC build order. So in the first video we talked about the basic build order and what to do from basically the first 20 minutes of the game. We didn't really look at how to attack with the Drush, but we focused more on our economy and how we set up our base. And in this video we're going to be taking a look at a recorded game between Viper and MBL, and we're going to see just how you want to win with the Drush FC and how to play against it as well. So in this game, we have MBL as Persians, and he actually does the Drush FC, and we have Viper as Indians, and he's going to show us how to defend against it. So these are the steps that we're going to take a look at in this game. So for the Drush FC, so for MBL's position, we're going to be seeing what you're trying to accomplish with the 3 militia, with the early Drush. Then we're going to see how to defend until Castle Age, because you're going to be vulnerable in Feudal Age, so you have to protect your map. We're also going to take a look at what to look for in early Castle Age. You're going to have a small lead, or quite a significant lead in terms of military in early Castle Age, and we're going to see how to make use of that. And then we're also going to see how to gain more and more advantage. So we're going to use the initial small advantage we have and try to transform it into a big lead and eventually win the game. Now for against the Drush FC, we're going to have Viper and taking a look at what he does. So we're going to see how he defends the early attack and how he also throws a counterattack to try and keep MBL open. We're also going to see how he deals with the early crossbows that MBL has. We're going to see what he wants to do in Castle Age to try and even out the game. And we're going to see how he gains more advantage and how he eventually closes out the game. Alright, so let's get right into the recorded game right now. If you missed the first part, I will leave a link to it in the description. So I recommend you guys check out the build order first and then come back and watch this video just to understand the basic build order before seeing kind of like the ideas behind the Drush FC and when to do it and how to defend against it, stuff like that. So let's go ahead and find the recorded game here. Alright, so like I said, we have MBL as the Persians, and he is versus Viper as the Indians. So we're going to fast forward through the start here. Like I said, he's going to go through the basic build order, and we're really going to see just how he makes use of the Drush and makes use of the early expos. And we're also going to see how Viper deals with this quite nicely. I chose this game because it shows both how to make the Drush FC effective and also how to counter it, so you get a feel of how the game is going to feel like from both perspectives. Alright, so MBL, notice he's already kind of walling because Drush FC, typically you have to protect your map because you're giving up basically the Feudal Age, and you're going to skip straight to Castle Age. And he's getting his first 2 militia, and he's sending them out right away. And we're going to take a look at exactly what he's looking for with these 3 militia. Now, the goal of a Drush is not to actually kill too many vills. It's really just to delay your opponent and to disrupt a certain resource. So if you take a look at MBL scouting, he knows the berries are here, and he knows very little else. So he's going to go straight for the berries. And how to defend this is basically just quick walling, or walling in your villagers so that they don't have to fight the militia, and they can continue working peacefully. So Viper's pretty much effectively defended this rush, or at least at the berries, and MBL's probably can try and look for something else, like this woodline, to try and harass. Again, same thing. Viper's going to quickly wall that up. And now MBL's Drush is pretty useless. He's just going to kind of annoy Viper a little bit and prevent him from gathering berries optimally. Meanwhile, Viper has already defended from this. He's not going to waste his time. He's obviously going to go for some scouts. He's not going to waste his time at his base defending, and he's going to throw a counter punch. Notice he's already had a scout here, and he's keeping MBL from walling, and he's bringing his 3 scouts over here to try and deal damage before MBL is fully walled. That's very important. Viper makes a slight mistake and sends the villager out, and MBL is going to clean that one out, but nothing major. On this side, Viper's looking for picks of his own. He's going to find his vill walling, so another mistake from MBL, but not a problem. They're a villager piece. And so I guess MBL is kind of happy with his position at this point. He got a villager with the Drush, and he forced some quick walls from Viper, and he's going to get his range up, and he's going to get his fast castle in quite nicely. At this point, Viper realizes that the scouts won't do much more damage because MBL's effectively fully walled, so he stopped making scouts. And he's most likely going to send them back here to deal with the Drush from MBL, which is still alive and in the back of his base. Alright, notice he's anticipating archers, and he even saw the range. So he's going to drop a range of his own, and he's going to go for some skirmishers. Alright, going to fast forward through this piece. Alright, and MBL clicks up the castle stage at a very nice time of 17 minutes. Again, it's not a perfect time by any means, but considering that this is a real game, it's definitely not a bad time. Viper's already going to start making some skirmishes now, which is basically his plan to defend against the early crossbows. I imagine his scouts will be coming back shortly to deal with the Drush. Alright, and fast forward through here. Notice that MBL is getting his eco upgrades, his farm upgrade, and his double bit axe. And Viper's going for fletching. He even adds bloodlines to try and have tankier scouts. It's a very common misconception to when you're against the Drush FC to try and go castle fast yourself. You really need to commit some army to feudal age to be able to defend the early expos that MBL is already massing up. So like I said, once he deals with the Drush, which isn't too problematic at this stage, he's going to look to use his skirmishers and his scouts with now bloodlines and +1 armor to try and clean up these archers. Alright, and we're also going to take a look at what MBL is looking for. So MBL's economy is very weak right now, it's at the limit of resources, but he does have this tech advantage, the crossbows. That's something that obviously isn't available in feudal age, so he's going to have a pretty strong army. Now, obviously, Viper has a good army himself. He doesn't have access to crossbows, but he's doing the next best thing, which is bloodline scouts and some skirmishers. Now, another option, if you don't have access to scouts, is just getting the armor on the skirmishers, and they do just fine. And so he's able to quickly make short work of these crossbows, and like I said, he's defending the early tech advantage that MBL has, but this is coming at a villager advantage for MBL. So notice that MBL is dropping his second TC already, so he's going to be able to get a vill lead quite soon. Alright, we're going to see now Viper trying to come across the map and look for some damage, but MBL is fully walled. And MBL, using his kind of like map advantage of being walled, since he's already invested into the walls, he's going to try and sneak archers around. Notice that Viper is very unprotected at home, and he's using all his economy into units and trying to click up the castle age instead of walling. To take advantage of that, MBL is going to sneak around multiple times to try and hit these exposed resources. So unfortunately, Viper's not going to find a way in, but that's pretty much expected. If you're fully walled, you're going to have an easy time defending with crossbows. And with the Bodkin Hera coming in now, he's going to have +2 range over the skirmishers, which is really nice. Anyway, 2 TC from MBL, and you can quickly see that he's taking a small vill lead over Viper, and that's going to be increasing as the game continues. And what does Viper have in compensation for this vill lead? Well, he's got more army. He has a lot more skirms, and as soon as he gets to castle age, he's going to have a potential to have a stronger army than MBL. However, he is left vulnerable since he's still feudal, and this is exactly what MBL is looking for. These small vill picks, these small raids, and try to make use of that tech advantage as quickly as possible. So as you can see, he picks off 4 vills, further increasing the vill lead. So now MBL is in a great position. He has got 2 DCs, and he's well defended at home, while also doing really nice damage to Viper at his base. Viper's forced to retreat, and he's going to once again clean up these expos, but MBL's done the damage he needed, and he's gotten himself a really nice eco bonus. 3rd TC coming up. Again, it's all about the vill count at this point for MPL. And Viper, at this point, this is a really critical point. So once you get to Castle Age, a lot of people would in Viper's position would try to kind of like boom back into the game. They add two more TCs perhaps and try and catch up in vill count. That would actually be a mistake. So when you're up against the Drush FC, you have to kind of forfeit the fact that he's going to have more vills than you at all times of the game, most likely. Just because he's going to get his second TC up much quicker and start producing vills. What you need to do instead is try and use your army advantage that you gain from staying in feudal age longer, and use it to pressure MBL and kind of stay on less economy yourself, but also have more military and use it to gain a significant map control advantage. And that's exactly what Viper's going to go for. Notice he's got a lot of skirmers and a few scouts left over, and MBL only has crossbows, so Viper can easily take map control if he so wanted it. And let's see how he takes it and what he does with it. So instantly we're seeing the elite skirmisher, bowsaw coming in. We're not seeing any TCs being dropped. Notice he's got 200 stone. Instead, we're seeing a forward siege workshop. So like I said, the map control is for Viper, and he's making use of that immediately. Notice that MPL, although he's got very little map control, he's still able to sneak around with some crossbows, which is what his his game plan was from the start, and he's also on 3TC with a 15 vil lead, which is absolutely huge. Alright, Viper making use of his army advantage, gonna break it here and disrupt MBL's economy. So even if you have a 15 vil lead, if your vils aren't able to work, then your economy is not that great. So that's exactly what Viper's trying to do, and with the forward siege workshop on the hill, he's gonna have a good time pressuring MBLCC. And this is a very strategic position for Viper because MBL has 2 golds here, his main gold and his secondary gold. Now to defend this threat, MBL is going for the natural response of a siege workshop and making a couple mangonels. A few scouts came in the back here, but they're not doing too much. Small hole there. Viper makes short work of the mangonel, but at the same time, MBL sneaking around the base, and he's also going to do a lot of damage to Viper. So again, Viper invested all his economy forward, pretty much, with the forward siege and a lot of skirmishers. He doesn't really have a lot of protection, and he doesn't have TCs to protect his mainland. So these sneaks from MBL is really what's giving him a huge advantage in this game. Notice he's already 22 vils up, and he has 2 extra TCs over Viper, so Viper has no chance of catching up in vil count, and he really needs to make this push work. So at this point, MBL knows if he's able to survive, he's able to win this game quite easily. Almost double the vil count. Again, that's going to be a big theme this game, the vil count. It's good to note that MBL also dropping a 4th TC. I'm not sure if maybe this is a mistake because he doesn't actually have too many farms, so if you can see that his TCs aren't running perfectly. So I don't know if a 4th one is really what he needs right now. I feel like maybe a monastery or a stable to try and deal with the aggression might have been better. Yeah, the 4th TC seems a bit greedy to me, but we're going to see how that plays into the game. Again, Viper now, he's managed to defend from the threat of the crossbow sneaking around, but it's done the damage in. Viper is now half the vils of MBL. But again, he still has the same advantage he had from the start, which is this hill and the pressure he's putting on. I'm going to fast forward through this a little bit. It's going to be a little bit of mangonel micro, mostly going 1 for 1, which is really good for MBL. Notice that the longer the vil lead stays up, the better it is for MBL, and he's happy taking this into the late game from this position. On the other hand, Viper really has to find a way into MBL's base and do some significant damage to try and get back into this game. He knows he can't boom back into it. MBL is now switching into Knights. Again, he's doing everything he can to stay into the game, pretty much. And, well, Viper's doing everything he can to pressure MBL with the 3 mangonels. Again, if you take a quick look at Viper's economy, he's full 1 TC. And he's just adding more and more units forward. Note that he's also mining stones, so maybe he's got some ideas to drop a forward castle and make a permanent indent on this position with the 2 golds. So MBL knows he now has to defend this at all costs. He's now adding some knights, more and more mangonels coming out. He's pretty much gave up on the crossbows because Viper has just too many elite skirmishers. I think what MBL could have done better as well is stop making vils at this point, which it seems like he is doing it, and using all his resources into military to try and defend this aggression from Viper. Because he already has a vil lead, so he can afford to stop making vils. Ooh, gets caught with a couple mangonels. This is quite nice for Viper, cleaning up 2 mangonels, and he's taking away MBL's army. But like I said, MBL literally just has to hold. If he is able to defend this push, and maybe get like some siege or some knights, clear out the mangonels, he'll be in a fantastic position to win this game. But at the same time, if Viper is able to keep this push alive, then it doesn't matter how many vils MBL has. If he can't have access to gold, he can't win the game pretty much. So let's see. We're gonna see a couple critical fights soon that I think will dictate the game. And here we see MBL running into the knights, and we'll see how Viper reacts. Notice that MBL is going straight for the mangonels. He knows he just has to kill the siege to be able to hold. He goes ahead and gets 1, gets 2, but Viper's able to clean out the rest of the knights. And here comes the forward castle. So this is another critical point in the game. Viper knows he's actually 50 vils behind, so half the vils of MBL. He has only 1 TC, he's got barely any economy. But what does he have? A forward position and a forward hill. And he's going to make just the exact use of that. He also knows he just cleared up MBL's army, so he's going to look to drop his forward castle as kind of his last effort to try and break MBL's base. And MBL literally just has to defend this push. But it's easier said than done because he just lost all his army and he has very little production buildings to try and make a new one. But let's see how he reacts to this. Forward castle coming in right on MBL's face, as he should. He has the army to defend it. And if you go to MBL's perspective, he's now going into full panic mode, adding some camels, mangonels, whatever he has to do to defend this, garrisoning all his villas. He doesn't even care about his economy anymore. He knows he has to defend this castle. If this castle goes up, he's not going to have access to gold for the whole game. And you can even see that MBL had a 600 score lead before this happened. And we're going to see that score lead quickly shift as Viper is desperately trying to get this castle up. Because if this fails, then Viper's dead. But if it works, then MBL's dead. Alright, quickly the score is closing in as Viper gets a lot of kills on MBL's villas. MBL's trying to clean up the mangonels, but the castle's about to go up. And fast forwarding through, castle goes up, and MBL calls the GG. So what an interesting game. Back and forth, it seemed like MBL had a really nice advantage. You know, double the vill count, a decent position, even had 3-4 TCs. But Viper, with the military advantage and the map control advantage, was able to make a kind of a 1 TC play that eventually killed MBL's base from one go. So MBL went from 100 to 0. So 100 vills down to 75 vills, and he has no army now to defend anything. So what can we take away this game? Well, we saw how MBL was able to make use of the Drush FC to get a nice little vill lead, which is exactly the kind of idea you want to do. He defended his base really nice early on with the walls, and Viper did a nice counterattack with the scouts, and he kept his forward position with the siege workshop. Just keep in mind that he didn't try and boom back into the game. He went for the army aspect of the game and tried to go for a 1 TC push to counter MBL's eco aspect. And eventually, with the forward castle coming in on MBL's 2 golds, MBL, even with the vill lead still 25 vills up, had to call the GG. He had nothing left to deal with the castle, and Viper showed just how a military advantage is able to be transformed into, you know, winning the game. So what could MBL have done differently? I mentioned that he, you know, added the 4th TC in hopes to increase his vill count. But I think that might have been a bit too greedy. It would have been, I think, better to drop a monastery with a couple monks to convert the camels, and maybe even switch into the knights a little bit earlier, or even go for camels himself might have been a little bit better. All in all, it was a tough map for MBL because he had both his gold forward, so it's not like he had, you know, the best case scenario to have his main gold in the back. What MBL also could have done is try to expand and take golds on the side, so he didn't feel like he had to, you know, defend this castle at all costs. But all in all, I think this game showed exactly how to play the Drush FC from MBL's perspective, and also how to deal with it from Viper's perspective. Both of them played amazing, and it just was small things that ended up winning it for Viper, and he took advantage of MBL's poor map. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We're going to be doing more build orders like this in the future, again, split into 2 parts. The first part will be the basic build order, so what to do in the first 20 minutes of the game, and the second part will be analyzing a recorded game in which the strategy is used, and we're going to see just how to defend it and how to make it work. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. The next build order we're going to be taking a look at is men-at-arms into archers, and I'm going to have 2 variations for that build, so stay tuned for that. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, just drop a quick sub for the YouTube channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.